For this evening. I begin tonight's seminar by calling on a person with whom I worked for 8 years and for whom I have the greatest respect. I've used the following phrases many times, but I have never meant these words as much as I do this evening. And these words: it is my honor and privilege to introduce Bishop Eric Matsumoto, Bishop of the Honpa Hongwanji Mission of Hawaii, to share words of welcome and an aspiration. Bishop.
Thank you very much, Piper, and thank you for moderating our session this evening. I'd like to at this time express aloha kako to everyone who has joined us this evening from both near and far, and to welcome and to thank you for joining us for the 47th Annual Buddhist Study Center Summer Session. It's truly unfortunate that we are not able to meet in person once again for summer session, but I'm happy and most grateful that we're able to gather online to listen and learn from Reverend Kodo Umezu, the immediate past bishop of the Buddhist Churches of America. Reverend Umezu, aloha, and thank you for being our speaker this year. It's nice to see you, even though it's virtual. Over the years, Reverend Umezu Sensei and I have been able to work together in various capacities as bishops on many endeavors and projects. Although he has retired, he is still active, and one of the larger projects, very large, that he's still heavily involved in is the promotion and development of the Jodo Shinshu International Office, which seeks to make and promote Jodo Shinshu on an even more global scale. Also, finally, let me share personally that one thing that has always impressed me about Sensei is his sense of humor and wit and the ingenuity in which he composes his Dharma messages, where he is able to link seemingly, unrelated topics, but make a profound point as he does so. So once again, Sensei, thank you for agreeing to be our speaker for this year's summer session. And thank you to all the viewers tonight and for the next 4 nights too. Further thank you to Reverend Kunyuki and the staff and volunteers of the Buddhist Study Center for your hard work and assistance. It wouldn't be possible without you. Tonight, as I conclude my welcome remarks, I'd like to share a short aspiration. If you would please join me in Anjali or Gasho. Tonight, as we begin our 47th annual summer session, let us recall to mind the words of Shinran Shonin, our revered founder, who said, "May there be peace in the world and may the Buddha's teachings spread." And also our own Honpa Hongwanji Mission of Hawaii mission statement, which is to share the living teachings of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism so all beings may enjoy lives of peace, harmony, and gratitude. And tonight, as we welcome our guest speaker, former Bishop Kodo Umezu, please join me in reciting the 3 treasures. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. And to conclude, let us recite Namo Amida Butsu, which is the Buddha's name that calls us to entrust, and at the same time, the Buddha's name we call in gratitude. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop. Before I introduce the seminar speaker, I would like to outline the theme for this week's seminar to set the context for his message. The theme for this year's Buddhist Study Center's summer session is Peace Through Buddha Dharma. I cannot think of a more appropriate theme given the events we are facing today. The events in our nation and the world are filled with tragedy, unrest, and suffering, most of which have been shaped by the hands of mankind. We are seeing nations dividing and devouring itself, climate change that is reaching the point of no return, racial division and violence, the strangulation of a great democracy, and a pandemic that is touching every corner of the globe. These events have left many of us bewildered, anxious, angry, and hopeless. Some of us are on the verge of surrendering to our despair because we do not know what to do. We feel helpless in the face of such overwhelming and complex challenges. It seems there is nothing we can do as single individuals. But do something we must. As some of these challenges begin to enter what we thought were our safe communities, our sense of peace is threatened at all levels. Fortunately, the BSC, with this seminar, is letting in a ray of light to provide us with insight as to how the Buddha Dharma can sustain and grow peace within ourselves, in our daily lives, and in the world. Though our peace and the peace of our nation and the world is threatened, we can do something. We're not helpless. This week, we are privileged to have Reverend Kodo Umezu provide us with that ray of light. Reverend Umezu retired on March 31st, 2020, after 47 years of dedicated ministry to the Buddhist Churches of America. His last position was Bishop of the Buddhist Churches of America and Superintendent of the Hongwanji North America District, positions he held for 8 years. Before he became bishop, Reverend Umezu served as the resident minister of Fresno Bituin Buddhist Temple, Los Angeles Honpa Hongwanji Buddhist Temple, and the Buddhist Church of Oakland. He also served as the director of BCA Center for Buddhist Education and chancellor of the Institute of Buddhist Studies. Reverend Umezu comes to us not only as an experienced administrator, but more importantly, as one who has shared the Buddha Dharma for 47 years. Before I turn the seminar over to Reverend Umezu, I would like to remind viewers to write your questions in the chat box as they occur to you. We'll have observers monitoring the chat line and preparing the questions for the Q&A period following the breaks. And now, Reverend Umezu, the seminar is yours.
Aloha, and thank you very much for inviting me. I don't know if I should have accepted this offer, but something made me accept this offer, and I'm standing in front of you this evening. Before I start my presentation, I would like to read a part of a larger sutra together with you, which you'll see on the screen. But if you're not comfortable reading the sutra with me, you could take this time for silent meditation and just think about teaching of the Buddha that you have heard before. So I would like to start the chanting. This is all in Chinese, Japanese, so just the sound, you're listening to the sound, you may not understand. Of course, I don't expect you to understand, but this original translation was done over 1700 years ago. So last 1700 years, we have been reading the same scripture in Chinese way, Korean way, Japanese way. Even in the United States, we read with a Japanese pronunciation. Namandam, namandam, namandam. Bussetsu Muryo Jukyo Kanjo Niji Seson Shokon Etcho Shishiki Shoujo 高原義義尊者阿難成仏生死即十座期変断雨見上期合唱二百仏言今日生尊称今熱調子式症状高原義義妙妙状況要聴要理要見要超絶無量未曾戦闘宗妙妙根唯年代小が新年後今日生尊重貴独王今日生王十仏小十今日生現十道死業今日西洋十祭小道今日天尊行如来徳高来現仏仏仏総年徳無根仏年者仏屋が高位人高校内に大勢生尊語阿難はつんが阿難昇天教如来門仏や異英検問二元語阿難百仏無昇天来教が社寺小検問四義に仏言全在阿難小門人権発人知恵神妙弁財民年修上門死営義如来無害大悲公愛三害小意出向せ高専道教浴場群も英雄真実私利無料高難知難権幽霊随形時事内出根小門者多少量薬会計一切商店人民阿難統治如来小学語知難量多少道語英検無芸無能圧絶意一時残死力の十十名億百千号無臭無量部下王子小根越長不意損失式不縁高原無意小意者が如来上へ空調無極大一切法に徳自在阿難体調根に尿説大圧唯念願行欲門仏語阿難内容過去空音無量不可思議無応修行長公如来公出王正女教系道脱無量修上改良徳道内修滅道死有如来妙圧公死妙学校死妙仙断校死妙前線の死妙修味天眼死妙修味東洋死妙合式死妙少年死妙理空死妙無弱死妙流天死妙夜行死妙安妙著死妙不動人死妙ルリ妙形死妙ルリ金色死妙金蔵死妙円光死妙円光死妙自動死妙活動死妙日頓死妙芸脱系死妙将軍公明死妙改革人図死妙水行死妙大行死妙理人空死妙社縁に死妙法縁死妙明朝死妙有流死妙空毒自衛死妙平日学校死妙日月ルーリー公死妙無常ルーリー公死妙最上修死妙膨大形死妙学妙死妙日光死妙形式を死妙水学校死妙上智妙死妙道外業死妙上心死妙前宿死妙維持死妙法営死妙乱論死妙死死音死妙流音死妙小生妙死小仏海水化二次死有仏妙聖自在王如来王具東小学妙行即前で世間芸上事無上上合上部天人死仏聖尊公自由国王文部説法 新熱超人没無上昇神道意帰国縁の行者者文豪圧法蔵功罪有鉄要請超意芸性自在応如来小慶修仏足運用三蔵上記合唱移住三圧高原義義偉人無極妙税遠妙無用当社日月間に修行遠慮開出音平有略十目如来用言調整無臨小学大四コール実法開門精進三昧知恵意徳無量修正慶人体前年小仏王海偶人人の空語外体無明欲ぬ生存用無人の死死人徳無量空君広大知恵人妙光明異相神道大仙願が差仏最小法華道生寺未有芸脱正常位解任精進尿税三昧知恵異常公正特物不行死が一切空空異差大安慶死有物約千六万無量大小収量五弱用一切死等小仏尿具道見小不逆非尿五者小仏世界部不可形無臭節道光明失笑遠視小国尿税精進異人難量量が差部国道第一号周期妙道場超絶国尿内四に無闘争が党愛民道脱一切実法来生新熱少女伊藤が国慶楽安穏鉱物神妙税が神妙津願の非力少小欲実法生存知恵無下上領子孫地が神行計量神子食毒中が行精進人獣風景仏語阿南法蔵美句摂氏十位二百仏言唯年生尊がおつむ上昇学士心願仏意が公選凶暴化当宗行摂取仏国症状将言無量明道量が王政即上昇学抜笑生じ言空資本仏説無量儒教感情ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブ何に宿毒平等聖才同坪大神往生安楽法ナマンダウツナマンダウツナマンダウツナThank you for joining me in the chanting. I'm so used to having an assistant around. After I retired from my position, I have to do everything by myself, except my wife suppose helping, my kids helping. But tonight I'm here by myself, so I have to set up everything and bring the Otsudan down after the service. So anyway, thank you again, Bishop Matsumoto and Buddhist Study Center, Kunyuki Sensei and the staff for allowing me to be here to spend 2 hours tonight. And maybe tonight is the only time and nobody will come back tomorrow. So we finished today, everything today. So you might be wondering what we have chanted, but we'll read the translation later. Before we read the translation, this section is very important, so I picked this section out of the Pure Land Sutra. This is where Shakyamuni Buddha, this is where he shared story of Amida Buddha. We know, we members know Amida Buddha by the name and the statue and some stories, but we always ask around, who is Amida Buddha? What's the difference between Amida Buddha and Shakyamuni Buddha? Where is he now? All these questions about Amida Buddha. And the story began here in the Raja Sutra. So I shared this section of Sutra. So anyway, Shakyamuni Buddha is a historical Buddha, He was born and lived and died in today's India over 2,500 years ago. So there are many Buddhists throughout the world. So everyone knows Shakyamuni Buddha. But when it comes to Amida Buddha, not too many people know. So the relationship between Amida Buddha and Shakyamuni Buddha, this is very important to visit the theme of this year's session, peace. Because Shakyamuni Buddha uses the word peace here and there in this sutra. And this story is something that we should know. Well, even if you don't know, you could appreciate the Nembut's teaching, but by knowing it, you could enjoy much more. So if we have same stories, if we are on the same page, it's easier to share the story. So first day, I like to just talk about this part of the sutra. You sign up, or I don't know, you sign up or you came to listen to this presentation, but you came here. Oh, I forgot to read the three treasures. Oh, it's okay. Bishop Matsumoto said I go to Buddha for guidance. Carrie, could you show the page, the three treasures page? Before peace. Yeah. So this is what we recite at the temple or church when we have service. And some people have already memorized. But here it says three treasures, not the three things, three treasures. Right? But in our life, each one of us, I don't know if we consider these as treasures. We have treasures of health. We have treasures our work, treasures of family, relationship, all these things as a treasure. But the teaching of the Buddha reminding us that the real treasure in our life should be these three. Okay? Because, you and I live today, and you and I, if you don't take care of yourself, who will take care of you? If I don't take care of myself, nobody will take care of me. Meaning, okay, this is dinner time in Hawaii. Here it's already past 8, but I know some of you may be eating. But when it comes to dinner, you don't ask someone else, hey, could you please eat for me? You don't ask someone, could you go to the bathroom for me? You have to eat. You have to feed yourself. You have to put the food in your mouth to nurture physically. Right? You cannot ask someone else to eat for you. No matter how much other people eat, it's not going to help you grow. Right? Same way, your spiritual health, if you don't take care, nobody will take care of you. You need to be responsible for your own wellness, your own well-being. So Buddhism encourages or urging each and every one of us stop and think, listen and think. So this session itself, it's not me, but the Buddha, words of Buddha is going to be shared. And by hearing the words of Buddha, it's like eating something to make our body healthy. If we take Buddha's words, take it in, we may start seeing the change in our life. So this is very essential, for us to eat the Dharma. Yes. But some people are not hungry, so they don't have time to spend at the church or temple or going to service, and they have other things to do. I understand. Go ahead and do it. But when you get hungry, we should have a place to go. Okay? So even if you're not hungry, you don't need it. I want you to still support your temple, because I know someday you will become hungry. And that's the time you appreciate temple or church being there. I was born as a minister's son in Japan. I didn't really appreciate being a minister's son when I was growing up. But now I really, looking back my life, I really appreciate my family temple's tradition, care and the guidance given to me by my parents and grandparents and members. They're the ones guided me to the Buddha Dharma. They're the ones who put their hands together and encouraged me to listen to the Dharma. So in our life, even those who have gone before us, they're putting their hands together, gashoing to you, gashoing, bowing to you. Please take care of yourself. Please listen to the teaching of the Buddha so that your life will be complete. Many teachers and masters in the past, they said, without the Buddha Dharma, your life is incomplete. And I understand that. Without the Buddha Dharma, something will be missing in your life. And you'll be asking yourself big question, why I'm here? What was my life all about? So in order for us to have the complete life, the missing piece, Shinran Shonin and those people born before us, urging us to take our time out of busy schedule and listen to the teaching of the Buddha. So when I came to this country, I was only 22 years old. And I came here thinking it's easy to do minister's work. It's just a job. It was just a job, something new, different from Japan. Being a minister in Japan, little different. But even now I'm arrogant, but I was so arrogant. I came here thinking, oh, it's an easy job, but it wasn't. It's not easy job. When I first came here, my first assignment was Fresno Buddhist Church, Betsin. And there are other ministers there, Rinban Kimura and Reverend Jun King. They were there. So when I first arrived at the Betsin, Reverend Kimura came out and greeted me. And he didn't say, welcome sensei or anything. He said, Umezu-kun, what is your understanding of the 17th vow? I said, wow, He didn't say, welcome to Fresno Betsuin. The words came out of his mouth says, Umezu-kun, what's your understanding of the 17th vow? I said, wow. Then, same day, he said, call your mother, your parents, use this phone. So he took me to the phone. Those days, almost 50 years ago, calling Japan is a big deal. Telephone call, but he said, call your parents and tell them that you have arrived here safely. So I still remember the day. Then he gifted me with this obutsudan that I use tonight. Umezu-kun, you need obutsudan. You need obutsudan. That's the kindness of Kimura Sensei, our senior minister. When I became senior to other junior ministers, I don't know if I behaved like Kimura Sensei did. He was very, very serious about the Buddha Dharma. He cared about the junior ministers. He really expected me to become an effective minister in this country. So this obutsudan reminds me of the kindness, the gift of Kimura Sensei. So anyway, tonight I'm given 2 hours, and the rest of the week, 2 hours a night, altogether 10 hours, and I didn't know what to say. But here in this country, Hawaii and the BCA, people are used to attending services on weekends or usually Sunday. And the Sunday service, ministers give a Dharma message, maybe 20 to 30 minutes, right? So we are not used to giving a Dharma message for over 1 hour. So I asked Kunyuk Sensei to take a break in between. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is people here say, oh, I heard that Japanese people don't go to church on Sundays. But the Japanese people traditionally, now, I don't know now, but when I was growing up, their attendance to services different. On the special major services like Honko, Shinran Shonin's Memorial Day observance. At my home temple, we used to do 7 days, 7-day service, and each day 4 or 5 services, and inviting guest speaker from out of town. So the guest speaker spends at least 4 hours a day. Every day, different story or different messages for 7 days. Some members stay at the temple and attend each and every service during the whole Honko. So they even provide otoki lunch. And that's the system Japanese temple used to have. Maybe it's not same now. So this summer session that you have is almost like the Japanese system of Honko, 5-day seminar, each day 2 hours, still short compared to the Japanese system. But the idea is, not just listening to ministers' Dharma message for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. They really immerse themselves in the Dharma. They may not be listening every word, but their entire body is listening to the message. So again, going back to this section of Raja Sutra, this was we chanted in Japanese sound of Chinese kanji, Chinese characters, but even Japanese people don't understand because it's written in Chinese. But they like to chant. They like to chant. Here in this country, I know many people say, "Sensei, I don't understand. Let's translate and let's read the translation." That's fine too. Nothing is wrong. But the people here, they think Japanese people understand what they're chanting, but they don't understand anything they're chanting. So I'm just letting you know, over 1,000 years, Japanese people, they have been chanting in Chinese with a Japanese pronunciation. So today's seminar, the topic I picked, peace. So could you show that screen? Yeah, okay, the kanji one, the definition of peace. So I picked the word peace, but what does this word peace mean? So I checked, I Googled. Could you show the next page? Could you go to the next slide? Yeah. This is what I found. You could read it. Usually when we say peace, we are talking about the peace in the world, peace in the community, peace in the nation, or peace in the society. That kind of peace. Of course, a peace, each individual's life needs to be peaceful. But the first thing that comes to our mind is the world peace, peace. So peace, what's the antonym of peace? Piper? You're a teacher. Oh, Piper is not there. Dexter, maybe.
Say again?
No, what's the antonym, opposite word of peace?
Usually people will first think of war.
Yeah, war, right? Okay. So peace and the war, like this. And I see just a few faces on my screen, but I cannot see you raise your hand. But those of you who like peace, raise your hand. I don't know, you cannot read. That's one thing, if I'm with people face to face, I could kind of communicate, but this computer, I can't even see people's expression or, physical movement. Many people say they like peace and they don't like war, right? So I want you to keep that in mind. I don't know how many people actually watching this and how many people like war, like peace and not liking war. So please show the next screen. Next page. Yeah. Peace in Japanese or Chinese. There are two different ways to write. The top one is pronounced as heiwa, and the second one, lower one, is unknown. Both peace. And heiwa, as you could see, the writing. By the way, many of the Chinese characters, many of them are emoji. Emoji is like a picture. emoji. A means a picture. Moji is a character. So you know this, right? This is an emoji. This is emoji. What does this look like? At least one person, Piper. What do you think this is? What does this look like?
What does it look like?
Yeah. It's a can you read?
Oh, yeah. Huh.
What's this? This side. Emoji.
Mouth.
Yes. What's this?
Scale. Mouth.
This is like a like a grain over, rice field. Yeah. So this indicate food. Food, mouth, and this is even. Even, right? If everyone gets food evenly, it's peace. Chinese way of understanding of peace is everyone gets same amount of food. If Piper gets 80% and Bishop Matsumoto gets 20%, that's not peace. It's not, this is not peace. So it's emoji. So Heiwa is everyone receiving, or everyone is receiving the same amount, then there is no war, no quarrel, no fighting. So that's the kanji itself, but Buddhist approach of peace is not just giving the same amount of food to people. That's important, but there is something else that Buddha is sharing. Now, to discuss the subject of peace, I like to use the 3 steps Could you show the next page? Next, yes. I communicated with Dexter and I suggested that within 2 hours, we have a time for Mon, time for Shi, and time for Shu. Mon, Shi, Shu. Mon is to listen, to hear, taking in the words of Shakyamuni Buddha, words of masters and teachers. That's Mon. This Mon is easy to say, we say, oh, I listen. But are we really listening? Are we hearing the deep voice? Sometimes we just hear the words of other people, not listening to the soul inside of the other person. Not just the words, but something deep that person is trying to convey, that person is trying to communicate. That's the skill. That's the area we need to train ourselves. I'm saying it and I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it. This one really requires patience and contemplation, understanding. So Mon, this is the key in the Buddha Dharma, Mon. First, you have to listen without questioning. Later, you could question. First, you listen, then you contemplate on what you heard. So first you take in. So that's listening is very difficult. One day, my youngest daughter came home and stood in front of me. I was watching TV, sitting on the couch. And my daughter, I was watching TV, so I wasn't paying much attention. She was standing here and she said, "Daddy," I said, "What?" Then she started looking up ceilings. So what happened? What happened to the ceiling? And she got so mad. She was showing me her new hairstyle. She was going around. I didn't know what she was doing. I thought she was looking up and looking at the ceiling. So I was looking at the ceiling. So I was not paying attention to my daughter's, bodily language, physical communication. The communication I heard, 85% is nonverbal, right? Facial expression or tone of voice or gesture, all these things you're communicating. The words just the 15%. So I fail to hear or listen to my youngest daughter. But the same thing, this is a famous story in Japan. I'm not offending. I hope I'm not offending people from Kyoto. This is famous in Japan. When you go to Kyoto, visit a friend in Kyoto, living in Kyoto, and you stay there for a few hours. And, it's about 5 or 6 o'clock. It's about time for them to eat dinner. So, if you're sitting talking and the Kyoto person says, would you like to have a ochazuke? Ochazuke. How do you say ochazuke, Bishop? Or Bishop may not be there. Anyone who knows ochazuke?
Ochazuke. Not quite sure. Ochazuke. We always say ochazuke.
Yeah, ochazuke. Your wife is from Miyazaki, right? Not from Kyoto.
Yes.
Anyway, ochazuke is like a quickest meal. There's the rice and the pickle and pour hot tea over. So it's the humble, most simple meal that you could eat when you don't have anything. So when they ask you if you like to stay for ochazuke, many people from this country say, "Oh, sounds good," Then they wait for ochazuke to be served. But people in Kyoto, when they said, "How about ochazuke?" means, "Aren't you staying too long? Isn't it time for you to leave? We are going to have dinner soon." So they don't say, "Please go home." Okay? So they say, "Please, or how about having ochazuke with us?" And that means go home. Okay, so don't take the words as kind offering of food. If you are really friends, maybe you could stay and eat ochazuke with them. But when they say ochazuke, means you have been staying too long. They don't have any food for you, expecting you to be here for this dinner time. So that's the difficulty of understanding. So Japanese word enryo. Enryo. Enryo is deep thinking. So you have to think what they're trying to say, not hearing what they say, but what's behind. That's enryo. Okay. En is hard and deep. Ryo is to contemplate, to think. And this is the key. If we cannot do this, we will never appreciate Nembutsu teaching. What is this Namo Amida Butsu? What's this Amida Buddha? I'm not going into that tonight, but tomorrow and day after tomorrow, I'll be spending more time on Namo Amida Butsu and Amida Buddha, those things. But we need to first have this enryo way of listening. Jinryo, fukaku, deep. We need to hear what is being said in the sutra. Not just what is said, deep meaning behind the sutra. So when we are reading this section, have you noticed that we or I chanted very familiar sutra, Sambutsuge, right? Kogen Gigi Ijin Mugoku. That is part of this section of the larger sutra. We single out Sambutsuge from the larger sutra and we chant. But this Sambutsuge is part of this Shakyamuni Buddha giving a story. In the story, okay, we read the translation later, so maybe I shouldn't say this now, but Amida Buddha story is going to be shared. In there, this Sambutsuge appears. So shall we go to the translation of the sutra? Could you open the next page? Yes. This is rather kind of lengthy, but can someone read it for me? I cannot see. Piper, could you read?
Okay. At that time, the sense organs of the world honored one were filled with gladness and serenity.
Wait, that's one before. That's the first one?
Yeah.
Okay, then that must be it. Okay.
His complexion was pure. His radiant countenance was majestic. The venerable Ananda, having perceived the Buddha's holy intention, rose from his seat, bared his right shoulder, knelt down, put his palms together, and said to the Buddha, "Today, world-honored one, your sense organs are filled with gladness and serenity. Your complexion is pure. Your radiant countenance is majestic, like a luminous mirror in which clear reflections pass unobstructed. Your lofty features are resplendent, surpassing all words of measure. Never before have I beheld your countenance as sublime as it is now. Indeed, great sage, I thought to myself, today the world-honored one abides in the most rare and wondrous Dharma. Today the world hero abides where all Buddhas abide. Today the world's eye abides in the activity of guide and teacher. Today the preeminent one of the world abides in supreme enlightenment. Today the heaven-honored one puts into practice the virtue of all the Tathagatas. The Buddhas of the past, future, and present all think on one another. Is it not also the case that you, the present Buddha, think on all the other Buddhas now? Why does your commanding radiance shine forth with such brilliance?
This is moment of Ananda, one of disciples of Shakyamuni Buddha, and the Shakyamuni Buddha, true encountering face to face. Ananda, always being by Shakyamuni Buddha, never have seen Shakyamuni Buddha in this way. First time he asked such question. Today, wow, what's going on here? Today, you are different. You are truly abiding, as the world hero and all these things, supreme enlightenment. So this is the real beginning of Shakyamuni sharing the grand picture of Amida Buddha and his 48 vows. So putting this aside, even if you are seeing your friends every day, sometimes you are not seeing your friends, but someday you realize something in your friend. Wow, it's not your friend is your friend, same friend, but you are now able to see something you had never noticed, saw before. So different example is 40 years ago, not just 40 years ago, many years ago, I read many books on Buddhism, and I didn't think these books were worth, reading. But the same books, if I open the page now and read it, wow, real encountering. I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready to appreciate books at that time. But when I read it now or read them now, my appreciation is so deep. Wow, this had been said. So this kind of, we are seeing each other, but sometimes we are not seeing each other. So Shakyamuni Buddha, historical Buddha may be great, but he is not the greatest person. Someone who said he is great is great. Okay? Shakyamuni Buddha may be standing next to you. It means nothing to you. But sometimes somebody says, wow, look at him. Somebody finds the true value of the person, then everybody turns around and says, wow, yeah. So Buddha, Shakyamuni, waited for this moment to share the story of Amida Buddha. So this is a section that even in our tradition, we single this section out and we do a liturgy presentation, Hokkijo. This is the section I'm going to introduce to you later, but Japanese specialists in liturgy, they chant this during the major service. It's so nice and brings back the moment of these two individuals meeting and the scene that Amida Buddha's story is about to be given to the world. So this is a section.
Reverend Umezu,
Yeah.
it's a little after 6. I was wondering if we should take a short break and
Okay.
then you can start on the next section.
Okay. So let's go to next.
Can we take a 5-minute break?
Now? Okay.
And yes, and then I'll look for questions if there are any,
Okay.
and then we can continue from here.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone, let's take a 5-minute break, and I'll be checking if there are questions in the chat line. Okay, let's gather again
Okay.
and continue.
Mhm.
So,
Time is limited. So next page.
wait. A couple of questions.
Yes.
One has to do with your story about first coming to America.
Mhm.
And the question is, how did the Buddha Dharma help you adjust to the reality of life in America?
Mm. Well, I was amongst the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist community, so it was easy transition in that sense. I
Mhm.
was able to talk to colleagues and share their experience, listen to their experiences. And our members in those days, they spoke Japanese. Many of members, they spoke both Japanese and English. And it was a rather easy transition because these people had brought Japan to this country, and still being a BCA minister was like being in a Japanese village. And I have to get used to outside American life, you know. That
So
kind of
so you found a community that was not really different from the one you left then.
Yes.
So the transition was easy.
Actually, community here was really a more old style of Japan.
Yes. Here's a second question. It has to do with the term "enryo," and you said that means deep thinking or looking behind the words.
Mhm.
So, if one does deep thinking and look behind the words
Mhm.
and arrives at the meaning of the words
Mhm.
by deep thinking,
Mhm.
does that mean there can be more than one meaning behind the words, that there may be several meanings? There's no one correct meaning.
Maybe so, case by case. You have to pay attention to what's being said or done, and you listen or you see what is being shared. But at the same time, you need to stop and think, okay, what is this person actually saying? Like, I don't want to use an example from our church and the members, but I'm not going to say any individual particular name, but some people say, because not enough parking, I don't want to go to church. So, we expand the parking space, but that person doesn't come, So, okay, what the person's saying to me is, Sensei, don't bother me, I don't want to come. If I play golf sometimes, but, I play golf, even if the golf course is 1 hour away, right? But just because church is 30 minutes away and starts at 10, you don't want to go. I mean, you're not hungry. You're not. So when someone says, church needs a big parking, yes, that's true. Okay, so I'm not saying don't listen. you may have to take care of that business, but at the same time, if that person is really serious, you don't care if parking is there or not. And another example is some people come to a temple and ask questions like, do you do meditation? So they may be really looking for a meditation session. Okay, that's one. But sometimes people don't know how to ask questions. So that person deep inside saying, do you have any meaningful program for me? Doesn't mean just a meditation session. So could go either way. That person may be just really looking for a place to meditate, but that person asking the question like, I'm looking for a place where I could find, a great teaching. So you could say, you don't have to say, I mean, okay, you could listen and say, okay, we do meditation. That's one way. The other one is, well, we don't do meditation, but we have a far better one, or I shouldn't say far better. We have different type of meditative activity, such as chanting and session and all these things. So, that person may be interested in trying, So listening is not so easy.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
So that's all for the questions. So you can continue now.
Okay, so the next page, could you open? That's next page, right? Okay. Could someone read or Bible? Could you continue the reading?
Then the world-honored one said to Ananda, "Did Devas so instruct you, Ananda, that you asked this? Or did you inquire of my noble countenance out of your own wisdom?" Ananda replied to the Buddha, "No Deva came to teach me. I asked this myself, simply from what I observed." The Buddha said, "Well spoken, Ananda. Your question is excellent. You asked this insightful question, having summoned up deep wisdom and true and subtle powers of expression, and having turned tender thoughts toward all sentient beings. In this boundless great compassion, the Tathagata is filled with pity for the beings of the three worlds. I've appeared in this world and expounded the teaching of the way, seeking to save the multitudes of living beings by bestowing upon them the benefit that is true and real."
So this is a continuation from the first page, second page. Here, Shakyamuni Buddha saying, he appeared in this world. Let's see. I have appeared in this world and expounded the teachings of the way, seeking to save the multitudes of living beings. So Shakyamuni Buddha appeared in this world to expound the teaching of the way. The teaching of the way is going to be about shared. So Shakyamuni Buddha appeared in this world to share this teaching. And this implies, this implies, okay, indirectly he's saying, we, okay, you and I came into this world to hear this teaching. We came into this world to hear this teaching. That's what the Shakyamuni is saying. Okay? Shakyamuni came into this world, only purpose is to share this teaching of the way to help all living beings. Right? So our job, purpose of our life is to hear or listen and accept, appreciate this teaching that he is about to share. So this is another listening. But so reading this, okay, Shakyamuni, how nice he came into this world to share the teaching of the way. Oh, how nice. Then you're not listening. Oh, okay, this is something that I need to hear then. Shakyamuni, after Shakyamuni Buddha was born, I think a hermit named by the name of Asita, looked at baby Buddha, baby, and started crying. Right? You know the story, right? Asita, the old man, started crying, and the parents, king and queen, said, "What's going on? Why are you crying? Is this boy something that it's not a good boy or something?" He said, No. I'm crying because this person, if he stays as in the secular world, he is going to be the greatest king in the world and bring the peace. If he becomes a spiritual leader, he will be the true spiritual leader of mankind. And I am too old, I cannot hear his teaching. That's why I am crying. So we are here, you and I are here today. We are in the position to be able to hear Shakyamuni's teaching, the teaching that somebody cried for. We are here. So our life, first and foremost important thing is to pay attention to what the Shakyamuni Buddha is going to say. And next page.
Rare is it to encounter and rare to behold a Tathagata. Even in countless kodas of kalpas, it is like the blossoming of an undambara flower, which seldom occurs. This question you now ask will bring immense benefit. It will enlighten the minds of all devas and human beings. Know, Ananda, that the perfect enlightenment of the Tathagata is immeasurable in its wisdom and vast in its guidance of beings to awakening. His insight knows no impediment. Nothing can obstruct it. With only one meal, he can maintain his life for 1,000 kodas of kalpas. Innumerable and countless kalpas are beyond. Even after that, his sense organs will be filled with gladness and serenity without suffering any deterioration. His complexion will remain unaltered and his radiant countenance will not change. Why is this so? This is because the Tathagata has attained unlimited and boundless samadhi and wisdom. All things are in accordance with his will. Ananda, listen well. I will now explain the Dharma to you. Ananda said in response, yes, I would be delighted to listen to you.
See, this is the beginning of Shakyamuni started talking about Tathagata in general. Okay, so Buddha beyond Buddha. Go to the next page.
The Buddha said to Ananda, in the distant past, countless, inconceivable, and innumerable kalpas ago, Dipankara Tathagata appeared in the world, having guided countless sentient beings toward emancipation and enabled them to attain the way. He passed into nirvana.
Okay, so the very distant past, in the distant past, countless inconceivable and innumerable kalpas ago, there was a Buddha named Dipankara, right? Okay, keep that in mind. We are not talking about Amida Buddha here, Dipankara. Okay, go to the next one.
Next appeared a Tathagata named Far-Reaching Light. After him came moonlight, and then sandalwood incense, king of Mount Sumeru, crown of Mount Sumeru, Sumeru-like brilliance, color of the moon, right mindfulness, free of defilement, non-attachment, dragon diva, nocturnal light, peaceful and brilliant peak, immovable ground, exquisite flower of lapis lazuli, golden luster of lapis lazuli, gold storage, flaming light, root of flame, earth shaking, image of the moon, sound of the sun, flower of emancipation, light of glorious endowments, supernatural power of ocean-like enlightenment, water light, great fragrance, free of dust and defilement, abandoning enmity, flame of jewels, splendid peak, standing hero, virtue possessing wisdom, outshining the sun and moon, lapis lazuli light of enlightenment, brightness of the moons, sunlight, king of the colors of flowers, moonlight on the water, removing the darkness of ignorance, practice of removing hindrances, pure faith, wonderful constellation, majestic glory, wisdom of the Dharma, voice of the phoenix, roar of the lion, cry of the dragon, and reigning over the world. All these Buddhas have already passed into nirvana.
Wow. All these names, there are numbers, and at the head of each name, how many, what's the last number?
53.
Yeah, that's why this section is called 53 Buddha section. Goju Sambutsu, 53 Buddha who appeared and passed into nirvana in the past. Okay. 53 Buddhas. Each one has wonderful name or title. You don't need to remember, but these are the virtues of enlightenment itself to me. Okay, the next one. Now you have seen, I mean, you have heard the 53 names. Then, yeah.
And the next Buddha appeared. His name was Lokesvara, the Tathagata, Arhat, perfectly enlightened one possessed of perfect knowledge and practice, well gone, one having good knowledge of the world, unsurpassed one, tamer of people, teacher of the devas and the humans, Buddha, and world-honored one. At that time, there was a king who, having heard the Buddha's exposition of the Dharma, rejoiced in his heart and awakened the aspiration for supreme true enlightenment. He renounced his kingdom and throne and undertook practice as a monk named Dhammakara. Possessed of superior intelligence, courage, and wisdom, he surpassed other people of the world. He went to see Lokesvajra, Tathagata, bowed at his feet, circumambulated him 3 times to the right, knelt down on the ground, and put his palms together in reverence, praised the Buddha with the following verses.
Wow. Now this is the 54th Buddha. Not Amida yet. 54th Buddha appeared. At that time, there was a king. His name, king's name, I don't know, but after he left his position, he became seeker, and he is known as Dhammakara Bodhisattva. This, sometimes we hear the word Dhammakara Bodhisattva. He appears here, and he becomes a disciple of the Lokesvara Raja Tathagata Buddha. He was so inspired, he was moved by the Tathagata, and he decided to be like him. He wants to be like him. So next, please. This is the Sambutsuge.
So I read it across, right?
Yes.
Your radiant countenance is majestic, and your dignity is boundless. Radiant splendor such as yours has no equal. Even the blazing light of the sun, moon, and mani jewels is completely hidden and obscured, and looks like a mass of blank ink sticks. The countenance of the Tathagata is unequaled in the world. The great voice of the perfectly enlightened perfectly enlightened one resounds throughout the 10 quarters. Your observance of precepts, learning, diligence, meditation, and wisdom. The magnificence of these virtues is peerless, excellent, and unsurpassed.
This second verse, the sun, Even the blazing light of the sun, moon, and the many jewels is completely hidden, obscured, and looks like a mass of black ink stick. This is, like in today's world, so many great teachings or human knowledge or wisdom, human knowledge and wisdom, they are like artificial lights in Las Vegas. Daytime, it's ugly, Nighttime, it shines. Nighttime is so bright and shining. But when one sun appears, they lose their brilliance. Same way, this Buddha's teaching, Shivana Raja Buddha's teaching is just like the brightest light overshines sun and the moon and other source of light. Yeah. Okay, next page.
Deeply and clearly mindful of the ocean of the Dharma of all Buddhas, you know its depth and breadth and reach its farthest end. Ignorance, greed, and anger are completely absent in the world-honored one. You are a lion, the most courageous of all humans, having immeasurable majestic virtues. Your meritorious accomplishment is vast, and your wisdom is deep and supreme. The majestic glory of your light shakes the great thousand worlds. I vow to become a Buddha, equal to you, the most honored king of the Dharma, and to bring sentient beings from birth and death to the final attainment of emancipation.
This I highlighted, with the bold letters. I vow to become a Buddha. He wants to be like the teacher, equal to you, the most honored king of the Dharma. He has this determination. Then he established vows to bring sentient beings from birth and death to the final attainment of emancipation, freedom, complete freedom to all people. So it's almost like, Martin Luther King, I have a dream. It's like, I have a dream. I have this dream to be like you. I want to be a Buddha who can bring sentient beings to the perfect freedom, world of perfect freedom. Yeah. Okay, next.
My practice of giving, self-discipline, observance of precepts, forbearance, diligence, and also meditation and wisdom shall be unsurpassed. I resolve that when I become a Buddha, I will fulfill this vow in every possible way. And to all beings who live in fear, I will give great peace. And even though there are Buddhas as many as 1,000 million Kodis, or countless great sages as many as the sands of the Ganges, I will make offerings to all these Buddhas. Nothing surpasses my determination to seek the way steadfastly and untiringly.
Yeah. Okay, please go to the next page.
Even though there are Buddha worlds, as many as the sands of the Ganges, and also innumerable lands beyond calculation, my light shall illumine all these lands. I will make such efforts that my divine power may be boundless. When I become a Buddha, my land shall be the most exquisite. People there shall be unrivaled and excellent, and my seat of enlightenment shall be beyond compare. My land shall be like nirvana, being supreme and unequaled. Out of compassion and pity, I will bring all to emancipation.
So here, both Buddha and the Bodhisattva Dharmakara, seeing the condition of all beings and seeing our suffering and unpeaceful conditions, trying to find the way to bring us out of that situation. It's almost impossible task. So he is challenging the most difficult task in the universe, bringing or finding a way to bring everyone without exception be free from this world of unsettlement. Okay, go to the next one.
Those who come from the 10 quarters shall rejoice with pure hearts. Once they reach my land, they shall dwell in peace and happiness. May you, the Buddha, be my witness and attest to the truthfulness of my resolution. I thus made my aspiration. I will endeavor to fulfill it. The world-honored ones in the 10 quarters have unimpeded wisdom. May these honored ones always know my intentions. Even if I should be subjected to all kinds of suffering and torment, continuing my practice undeterred, I would endure it and never have any regrets.
That's the end of the Sambutsuge. The second line on the right hand side, they shall dwell in peace and happiness. They shall dwell in peace and happiness in his land. So he is creating a land where people could dwell in peace and happiness. So creating a land, and I'm not going to go into the detail today because I have 4 more nights, but I want you to keep this big picture in mind as we go forward. You know, Amida Buddha, and Amida Buddha was known as this Bodhisattva, you know, going through all kinds of difficulties and finally finding the way to emancipate all people. So, and became a Buddha called Amida Buddha. That's the one that we, Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, we put our hands together too. So behind Amida Buddha, there's a story like this. Okay, so next page, please.
The Buddha said to Ananda, Bhikkhu Dhammakara, having spoken these verses, said to the Buddha, Lokas Vararaja, in just this way, world-honored one, I have awakened the aspiration for supreme, perfect enlightenment. May I ask you, the Buddha, to expound fully the Dharma for my sake. I will perform the practice in order to establish a Buddha land adorned with countless pure and excellent qualities chosen from among Buddha lands. I wish to attain perfect enlightenment in this world quickly, so that I can remove the roots of suffering and affliction in birth and death.
What a profound statement. We seldom pay attention to his determination. Outside of us, there's a huge wish, profound aspiration for all beings, meaning each and every one of us. You are not outside. I am not outside of the picture. I am being thought of. I am in his mind and heart. And after this, he describes 48 vows known as Hongan, the primal vow or fundamental vow, original vows. In Hawaii, your temple is called Hongwanji. Hongan. Hongan, the meaning and the story you should know. You don't need to memorize each and every section of this sutra, but the big picture. We are being wished by someone higher. We are being thought of by Buddha. So we don't know how and how he is going to, relate to us. We go into the next section tomorrow, but I'm saying he, but it's gender free actually, okay? But because of king and this and that, the story, limit the description, usage of the term. But again, we have to think deeply, okay? So don't get stuck on this each word like he or king. But the big picture, there's a king. King is something that we like to be. We like to be the head of the state or country. The king, in our mind, can do almost anything to make people happy. But Shakyamuni Buddha is this bodhisattva, both of them, they left the seat, the throne, denounced. That implies something. It implies something. It's not the king's job that we can find true freedom, true emancipation. Okay? If secular way we could make everyone happy, he would have stayed as king. I'm going to stay in this position and I bring the peace to the world. No, he left. He left the castle. Shakyamuni too. So that another story that we need to, not story, but message that we need to be thinking about. Any questions at this time?
Let me check with the observers to see if they pulled questions from the chat line. Okay,
Mhm.
so give me a couple of minutes and I'll check
Okay.
in with them. Okay. So, Reverend Umezu,
Yes.
we have several questions.
Okay.
Okay. The first one has to do with the word enryo.
Uh-huh.
So for us in Hawaii, we think of it as meaning holding back.
Mm. Mm.
So it's different from your meaning of deep
Yeah.
listening.
Uh-huh.
So how did we come to understand enryo the way we do?
Mm-hmm. Okay. One example I can think of is, say you are invited to someone's house for dinner, okay? Again, dinner, not ochazuke. And how should I say? Okay, you know the person so well. You know the person so well. That person is not wealthy and cannot spend much money for meal or something. So you do endure. You don't. You hold back. Say, no, it's okay. It's okay. If you. That kind of thing, last food on the plate, nobody touches in Japan, right? Endyo. But here, so, oh, I'll eat it, and someone will eat it. But the Japanese way is leaving the last one there for somebody who really needs it, Or if it's at someone's house, maybe the kids are not eating, nourished well. So, you leave something for them. So endyo is like a holding, if you think of this and this and this and this, you cannot eat so much. So I think that has something to do with the way we do, with the way we behave, hold back. And when you start thinking, you start, okay, if I do this, this may happen, and that happens, then the next thing, that the other thing may happen, okay, I better not do it, So
Here's another question. So the study and reflection and listening to the Buddhist teachings seems to be a very important part of Shin Buddhism.
Mhm.
Is that peculiar to Shin Buddhism, or all Buddhist denominations places the same amount of importance on listening, study, reflection?
This is all Buddhist tradition, not just the Jodo Shinshu.
Oh, okay. So the expression we hear often is wisdom and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
This wisdom, how do you define this wisdom that we always say with wisdom and compassion?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to visit the area on Wednesday.
Okay.
But my quickest answer to that is I don't have wisdom to explain that.
Okay. Here is the last question I have. So you made a statement that the importance and the purpose of life is to listen to the teachings of the way. And the teaching of the way comes from one of the quotes that I read. So we as lay members, when we hear that term, listening to the Dharma, we always think of it as listen to the minister on Sunday service. But are there other ways of listening to the teachings besides listening to the minister on Sunday? And if so, what are examples of other ways of listening to the Dharma?
That again, on Wednesday, the topic is more like listening. So I like to elaborate on that on Wednesday. But listening to a minister's Dharma message is very important. I'm not taking that, it is important, but at the same time, what he is bringing to you, listening to the story and what's behind that story message, and putting yourself in there and listen and revisit the story again and again. So sometimes it takes a few days, sometimes few months, sometimes few years to deeply appreciating that story. And of course, other things you could listen, but Jodo Shinshu, the primal importance of listening is listening to the primal vow, Buddha's wish. And minister's job is to make that possible, at the service, let's together listen to the wish of the Buddha, using stories and whatever, So listening to Dharma message means listening to Buddha's wish.
Okay.
So listening again, I often say this to I used to say this to BSA members. We have a wonderful educational building called the Jodo Shinshu Center in Berkeley, California. That building is speaking. The building is not just concrete or, the building, the structure. the building is speaking to us, the building says, please, come here and listen. Your temple is speaking, your temple building and organization is speaking to you. Of course, other things too, you have a church bazaar or Obon dance and this and that. But temple just being there, sending a message to the world. Buddha's wishes, taking a form of the building, taking the form of shape of the onajin, and all these things speaking. So listening could be anything.
Oh, okay.
And I like to use the last few minutes for chanting of the section Hokkijo. I promise to you. I'm not a chanter, liturgy specialist, but I try my best. If ministers are listening to my chanting, they could laugh at my chanting. I may fail, but I want you to listen to a good chanting. I'm not saying your ministers don't chant good, but you could spend some time just listening to the chanting itself. Speaks so much. Kakehashi Sensei said, even if you don't listen to Dharma message, come to Hongwanji and attend the major service and immerse yourself there. You feel like you are in the Pure Land. You're listening to the wonderful sound of ministers vocalizing the sutra with a traditional music. So let's show the Hokkijo chanting version on the screen. I need to look at the screen, so gomen nasai, no butsudan, but to the computer, I'm putting my hands together. Hokkijo, okay? This is the section that I highlighted in the Raja Sutra. Dhammakara Bodhisattva praising. No, this is Ananda praising Shakyamuni Buddha. So same thing happens, Ananda praising Shakyamuni, Dhammakara praising Lokashubara Rajas Buddha, so that encountering, we need to have that encountering. And this one goes like konnichi, seison, shokon, echo, konnichi. Today our greeting is konnichiwa, konnichiwa. In Japanese, konnichiwa is like aloha, right? So konnichi means today. And traditionally, it doesn't mean today, but this moment, great moment, But anyway, the first expression today, it says today. So Japanese people say konnichiwa today is actually we like to say something after today. Today you're looking good, or today how are you feeling? But we don't say how are you feeling. We just say today. So konnichiwa, acknowledging each other's existence and the presence. I see you. How are you today? How are you today? Today, konnichiwa. So konnichi says, and so konnichiwa was in the Raja Sutra. Konnichiwa seson. You're looking so good. You're looking good today. That's the in simple way of expressing, this adoration. So let's go to the next page. Next page, please.
Reverend Umezu, it's coming up to 7 o'clock where we end. Is
Okay,
this
don't you have 5 more minutes? It takes only 5 minutes.
okay?
Yeah.
And what I'll do is I have 3 more questions,
Oh,
and after this session is over, I'll share the questions with you, And then you can open tomorrow's session by answering these questions.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, good.
If I'm
So-
still alive.
So we need to get to the next screen.
Next one. Hokkijo.
This one with all the
Notation.
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of looks almost like a music scale or
Mhm.
stanza.
Yes.
Okay. I believe so. Okay.
But if you cannot find it, we could do it tomorrow. It's okay. Oh, it's okay. Carrie, it's okay. So let's conclude tonight's session then. Piper?
Yeah, okay.
You could,
So Carrie, did you hear that? That we're gonna leave it here and continue tomorrow. Okay. So I would like to conclude tonight's session by thanking Reverend Umezu for a wide-ranging talk and for getting us deep into the connection between Shakyamuni and the story of Dhammakaya and Amida. So thank you for that insight. Maybe what I should do to end is just give you and the audience a hint of some of the questions that were asked that tomorrow you might address. So one question was, peace through Buddha Dharma is a journey to perfect enlightenment. For Shin Buddhism, is this an expression? For Shin Buddhism, this journey is expressed through helping others in daily life. Is that the way we express our journey to enlightenment? So that's one question. Another question was, how should we understand Heiwa, Annan, and Shinjin? Those three concepts compare with each other. And the third question was, Shinran said, may peace prevail in the world. Is this peace Buddha's peace? Terrible things happen and people suffer, and we wish for world peace. Is this being selfish? So I will leave these questions with tomorrow's moderator, and then we'll begin with that. Okay. Do you have any last words to share with us before we end tonight's first session?
I know that what I have shared today or tonight is still incomplete. This is just a part of 5-day seminar material. And, I'm sure you wanted to hear more of deep meaning behind the Hongan, but I have given 5 nights. So gradually we, go visit each one. So please be patient. And if you don't mind, you could come back again tomorrow night and continue with our visit of Buddha Dharma through Pure Land tradition. And that could bring peace to the world and each individual. So I really appreciate, and I hope to see you tomorrow. And please stay well for that reason. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Well, everyone, see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Same
So
place.
tomorrow you are free. Your smile.
I enjoyed tonight. Thank you
Yeah,
very
thank
much.
you so